Good day, everyone. Today we are going to talk about how to write a concept paper, specifically a project proposal. Here, I'm going to talk about specific examples and also easy to follow instructions or guidelines on how to do a project proposal. Okay, so I think we can start. First of all, let's refresh first ourselves. What are the parts of a concept paper specifically for a project proposal? So first, you should have your concept paper title, the introduction, the background, the project description, and the project needs and costs. So after that, we're going to talk about how are we going to do each of the following steps or parts. Now, basically, this is a common format of a project proposal or a concept paper. You should have your title of the proposed project, the date, and so on and so forth. So you can take a screenshot of this one if you like. But it's good also if you could ask, for instance, if you're a student, you can ask your professor what do they like or do they have a preferred structure of your concept paper. What I'm just showing you is an example of a possible format. But as you can see, generally, you should have your implementing entity and key partners who will be accepting your concept paper or your proposal, the background, and the pl- project summary itself. So that includes the objectives, the outcomes, the indicators of achievement until the budget. Okay, so after that, here now comes your project or your cover page. As you can see here in the cover page, it's very important that you state the name of the proponents, and that is you, if you are the one doing your um, project proposal. And of course, your address, contact numbers, email address, and so on. And do not forget to state the head of the agency uh, and also the contact information. And if you have the date of submission. So next one now would be an example. So this is an example of a title or the cover page first. So here you have already the title of your concept paper. So in this one, the concept paper title is Asset Building Through Cooperative Business Ownership, Defining and Measuring Cooperative Economic Wealth. Okay, then they have this one, the proponents, and who will be accepting the concept paper, and also the other relevant details. On your case as a student, or for example, your the agency who will be accepting your proposal could be the Department of Agrarian Reform or DOST here in the Philippines, or most probably your school also for the accepting agency of your project proposal. Okay. For your concept paper title, it's very important that the title summarizes what the paper is all about. So it's just like also your research. What is it all about? And it should be brief as possible and to the point. Okay, so for example, you have leveraging on mobile payment on methods for what? To gain competitive advantage by local based businesses. So in here, you have already mentioned what are you going to really uh, propose, and that is mobile payment methods. And then what do you get out of your proposal? You will have gain or you will gain competitive advantage. How? By local based businesses. So as you can see, this title is brief enough, but at the same time, it contains the most important points that should be considered in your proposal. Okay, another example, sustainable community development. So that's your proposal, community development. How? and that is urban gardening. So as you can see in your title itself, or per se, you can already identify what are you proposing, and that is urban gardening. But how, of course, it's just a case study first. Okay. Next, you have accord incentives, okay, sanctions and conditionality project. Again, it's just a concept paper. So again, as you can see here in the proposal or in the concept paper title, you already have an idea of what are you proposing. And then for the introduction, you have the following information about the funding agency. Okay, so if you have Department of Agrarian Reform or DOST or DOLE or whatever your school, you should know about the funding agency to show that you understand their mission also, the year of the proponents agency if you have other agencies and why they are qualified as such, and provide reasons why the funding agency should support the project. Okay, so let's have here. The next one is the rationale. Why are you proposing this one? So you have to state the gap. Why are you having this proposal or your project? What is your project for? So for you to know what's the project for, you have to identify first what is the problem that you will be solving through your project. And that comes out now with the significance of your project. It answers the question, why? So this is an example of a rational or background. You can pause it if you like. But as you can see here in the example, it talks already first about the concept, and that is urbanization. So as you can see, there are different ways to explain the concept, but here you explain first urbanization as your main concept you are talking about, urbanization. And then after that, urbanization, which is a global trend, increasing number of people residing in the urban areas, that is the scenario first. But it's named through a concept, and that is urbanization. Then you have to talk about already the problem, and that is urban growth. That there are some challenges that includes limited access to fresh and nutritious food, environmental degradation, declining community, and so on. So additionally, you have given other reasons why urbanization is a problem. That's the rationale. So that is the gap. That is a problem to be solved or to be addressed. Urbanization and problem in urban areas, which in which you have already cited a lot of gaps or problem. So here comes now your problem as mentioned. So after that, mentioning about urban gardening, you can already talked about the significance of the project. Okay, so you are going to mention already about urban gardening, which is another concept you are going to talk about in your proposal. So you are going to mention about urban gardening, what will it contribute, and what's the potential contributions of that in the community. Ayan na yung it creates urban platform for residents and so on and so forth. So you will be talking about the significance of the project. Okay. So if you will be as a group, it's good to assign your member what will be the topic they're going to talk about in relation to your project proposal. Okay, the next one or the next part of your project proposal will be the project description. So you can state first the goal. What's your main goal? And of course, specific objectives. Okay, so for example, for urban gardening, why are you proposing the urban gardening? What's your goal to have? Isn't it your one of the problems a while ago is that through urbanization, because of urbanization, there is already a lack of fresh foods. So in the goal, it's your goal to have an access or to have availability of different fresh foods and so on. So, and then you can have specific objectives. Um, Objectives can be done in bullets or numbers. Then you can have your methodology already. That includes your action plan, project activities, what are the things, specific things you are going to do to do the proposal or the project. Then you should have your timeline, the benefits, and how will it be measured if it's successful. Okay, right. So the project, this is an example of a project description. So as you can see, it says the proposed project on sustainable community development through urban gardening. Okay, you see it's very short. It aims to implement the goal and evaluate the effectiveness of urban gardening initiatives in a selected urban community. So that is your main goal. Then you can already mention some specific objectives. So the project will be conducted as a case study focusing on a specific neighborhood or community within the urban area. The project will involve active participation from the community. So here you are already mentioning about some mechanics in your urban gardening. Okay, and other some more examples. So here as you can see, it talks about the locations already, um, who will facilitate the project, who will how will be the collection of the data, and so on, and how will it be evaluated to impact on food security, to evaluate the environmental benefits. So as you can see, it's very detailed as well, but it's very short only because the project proposal should only be short, at least like five, maximum 5 pages. So as you can see here, this is on the other hand, an example of your own timeline. So what will be happening in the planning stage? So for example, you start in August for the planning, brainstorming, execution. What will be happening in the execution? You have to be very specific on how will it be done. And of course, how will it be evaluated if it's successful? As you can see, I've mentioned here, you can customize your own. When I say customize, you can adjust it depending on the activities that you are going to do in your project. Then it's very important also for the agency who will be accepting your proposal or your project. You have to identify what are your needs and what are your costs. You can outline the main budget, how much, and of course the item description. So aside from the budget, you have to tell us what is it and justify how the budget will be used. You can also mention about the personnel or equipment. Okay, so okay, now this is an example of project needs and cost. So as you can see, it contains here some specifications. For example, we have here the total cost of the project, which is 40 million pesos, amount requested for funding, 30 million pesos, and local counterpart, 10 million pesos, and project duration, 187 days. Now, this example is actually quite very general. It's very important that you can itemize before having the total cost of project as well. So that would help the funding agency to think if it's really realistic or can they afford it or not. And also if it's, logical to buy those items. Okay, so that's it for today. If you have some questions, please feel free to ask and comment below if you have some questions as well. Okay, so that's concept paper writing or making a project proposal. Please do not forget that when you're making your concept paper or project proposal, it's only um, an introduction of your full project. So the itemized or the more detailed one will be given once your project proposal is granted or accepted. So it should just be very short and it should not stress you out. You just have to show to the funding agency your plan or even to your teacher if that's just a part of your project in your subject in EAPP or English for academic and professional purposes and so on. There are different parts You can discuss it or ask for specific parts which you are looking for, but what I presented is just the general parts. Okay, that's it for now. As I have mentioned, if you have some questions, please comment below. Thank you so much.